What I say is pretty nice too.
Any Lauryn Hill sample is just crazy. All Falls Down. Fuck, man.
So much, eh?
Through the Wire has a crazy one too.
Through the Wire is a nice one.
We're live.
We're
We're
good.
live. What's going on, everybody?
Guys, welcome into another Dead Wrong stream. It's been a while since we've done this. If you guys are OG fans of the podcast or you're new, you'll probably end up fucking with this series because you know what? It's always fun answering people's questions. It's cool to see what the community's saying, and it's always nice going back and forth with people because there's so much to get into, especially when it comes to hip hop questions, debates, questions. So, guys, just to tell you guys how this is gonna work tonight. Basically, we take in every single question. So we posted something on our IG story. We asked a couple of different questions.
We had
yeah.
things up on the Twitter. We had everything up on our YouTube community tab, and pretty much out of all the questions that we took, Nick actually, chose ones that he liked and that he thinks would be good for conversation. And we don't know the questions going into it, so he's just gonna let them loose on us. And if you guys want to have your questions right away, of course, the super chat feature is there for you guys. But let's do this, man. Let's start it up.
Let's get this going. So, guys, by the way, smash the like button. It always helps us get to more people that could come in, interact with us, and come have a good time. So, what's up? What's going on in ANA? Hope you're doing well.
What's up, Austin?
Kilroy, what's going on?
Richard, what's going on, man?
How's everything? Jason, hope you're doing well. Greg, thank you for the question.
Shout out Brian.
Appreciate you guys. So thank you to everyone who's in the stream right now. It's always a pleasure doing content. But Nick, let's actually get into this and actually introduce yourself, bro.
Yep. So what's up, guys? We're gonna start with the Discord. So everyone from the Discord, if you aren't a member of the Discord, the way you could join the Discord is in our description.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna start with Yusuf from our Discord.
Shout out Yusuf.
Yeah, he's
OG.
an OG. A little take. He basically said Illmatic better than To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh
man, that's so tough.
That's a big
My
fucking
bad.
question. No stress. How do you feel about that?
It's tough to say because Illmatic has had the time to age. It's regarded by everybody as the best album of all time. And I mean, in terms of storytelling, with how much a dollar cost really exists without that vivid imagery that Nas set up on Illmatic. I mean, I don't know. I think as a concept album, To Pimp a Butterfly is stronger. I think that the way that Kendrick takes you through that tale is brilliant, but there might be higher highs in Illmatic, just like song for song, New York State of Mind, Halftime. There's just The World Is Yours. There's just classics on that album. So
I'll say this. I'll say it like this. I think I prefer To Pimp a Butterfly, but what do I think is the more iconic album, and what do I think really set up all of this for everyone? I think it's Illmatic. I mean, when you think about what really birthed hip hop and what's really brought it to that next level, Illmatic is in that conversation for being let's say the holy grail of hip hop, in my opinion. It sparked so many different things. It influenced so many different rappers to go into different lanes, and one of the best put together projects of all time. But that's a serious
you're
question.
going Illmatic finally?
I'll say what do I prefer? I prefer To Pimp a Butterfly more, but what do I know is probably the better project. I'll probably go Illmatic.
Fair enough. I agree with that.
I'll put my bias aside on it, but let's get on to the next one. Thank you, Yusuf, for that one.
Yep. So the next one's from I Got the Mask and Night Golem from our actual Discord. So shout out to you.
Shout out Night Golem. Always stirring up a bit of chaos in the chat.
So he basically asked, can Cardi last the next 10 years in the game? That's a long time.
10 years?
Or will people forget about him?
You know what's crazy is that since we're in 2021 right now, the true generation that we've seen have a decade of longevity is people from that Big Sean, Drake, J. Cole, Wale kind of era, the people that came up in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So we don't know if any of these kind of SoundCloud rappers or, trap artists that emerged in the 2010s decade will have that lifespan. But I think that if there's someone that is going to have the longevity, it is Playboi Carti, just because he's been changing up his style with every album. And it seems like that fan base is just so cult. It's so niche. And he is pushing the boundaries. He is influencing a lot of artists. So I do see him lasting, I don't know about 10 years, but I could see him definitely lasting another 6 or 7.
10 years is a long time.
You don't think he could do it?
Well, you got to think about it. He came up in 2017. We'll say that was really
his breakout.
Yeah, the year he popped off. And then an extra decade. Fuck, that's tough, man. There's not a lot of artists that are able to do that. But, I mean, Playboi Carti is so unique in his own respective. So, I mean, he kind of has his own lane. He's dominated his own sort of genre, subgenre of hip-hop. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I could see it happening. But then again, we see that the longevity on, newer artists are starting to go down as the years go. So who actually knows what's going to go on. But let's say thank you to Jay Scott for starting off the night on the super chat. Thank you guys so much. And you said you guys are amazing. You're amazing. Been following you guys for almost a whole year, and you are by far my favorite YouTube channel. Keep it up, boys. Much love. Jace, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
We do appreciate that, Jace. Thank you,
Absolutely.
man.
That's
And
fucking beautiful.
if you don't have a question, feel free to drop one because you didn't ask one, but we'd be more than happy to answer your question, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. But yeah, the Playboy Cardi conversation is actually fucking interesting. But oh, my bad.
Bit of indigestion going on.
No. I almost choked on my own spit. My bad.
Shit.
But let's go on to the
yeah,
next one.
let's
Yeah,
get
so the
Nick.
next one's from Snowchild. Snowchild's a
Shout out to
legend.
Snowchild, man.
Shout out
He's a
Snowchild.
legend in the Discord, and
He
I saw
is.
this one stirring up some stuff in the Discord, and he basically said, "Will Drake be remembered more for his marketing tactics and streaming numbers, or his actual albums and rapping capability down the road? So in 10 to 20 years from now."
Interesting stuff.
Where do you start, man? What do you say? Like, what? I think it's a bit of both, though. I think that it's undeniable to give him credit on both ends, because if you want to talk about catalog, I mean, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, and then after that, if you're reading this, It's Too Late. All three classics, in my opinion, have that great stature to be able to stick through someone's discography. On the other hand, a lot of people do know Drake for his mainstream success, for his streaming numbers, for the records that are being broken. So I could see how there's an argument on both sides, but I think it's a bit even on both ends. I don't think that it's necessarily lopsided towards, one side rather than the other, in my opinion. But how about you? What's your take on it?
It's interesting because I feel like Drake has given us a lot of fucking material. He's given us, like, if you count everything, 12 to 13 projects, if you want to count his early mixtapes and all that. How many of those are classics and how many of those will live on for the test of time 20, 30 years from now? Probably maybe only 3 or 4, to be honest with you.
But
I
that's
feel
still
like
pretty good,
it's
though.
still very good to have that many projects, to have like that many classics. It is good, but I think that Drake is that public figure who has had kind of, in terms of his marketing purposes, a totally opposite, I would say, strategy than someone like Kendrick, who lets the music talk and lets the impact of the music shine. But Drake's just been that guy who's been the face of everything, collaborating with these huge brands like Nike. And I think that's why people always remember him more as a public figure rather than for the music, because his marketing has been genius. The way that, he'll have a heart in his hair just to promote an album. The way that he's renting out billboards in various cities. Like, he's always been ahead of the curve in terms of his marketing for albums. So I think that will be a big thing. And I think I think Snowchild has a point. I think he will be more remembered for the marketing and him as a figure rather than him as a musician. But I love the music.
I'm a big fan of the music, and I think there's validity to both of those points. But thank you, Snowchild, for asking that question. You're an OG in the Discord. But let's actually go on to Bailey Fueler.
Shout out Bailey.
Thank you so much for sending in the super chat. And he said, "Hey boys, about to sub to the Patreon crew." Thank you so much for that, by the way. And if you guys want to get access to our Patreons, the link to that is in our description.
Yeah, and we
We're
actually
posting exclusive content. and
exclusive
all that.
content, a bonus video every week. So pretty cool stuff.
We have all kinds of good stuff on there. So if you guys want that, in the description. But the hot take is Taboo over Damn and For Your Eyes Only. I enjoyed the album. Denzel is my goat, and I say him over than K-Dot. So,
I think he's saying he prefers Denzel over Kendrick.
yeah. So how do you feel about that, man? What are you saying, bro? I know you're a big fan of Taboo, so I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Bailey. We really appreciate it, and I think you're gonna have some really good enjoyment out of the Patreon because we work hard to do some cool content on there. But speaking on Denzel Curry's Taboo, that was my album of the year for 2018, and at one point we'll talk about that year as a whole because I think that it's the best year that hip hop's had maybe in the last 10 years. I think it's really that strong of a year, and this album spoke to me so much because it's a deep dive into his psyche, and not only that, but he's talking about different perspectives, the symbolism that he uses in that album with the black balloons hovering over him and everything that represents, the way that he's exposing the music industry, and the way that he's showing his versatility flow-wise, and the way that the album was structured in 3 parts. It's masterful all throughout, and I think that he has a point. I'll agree with him. I'll say that Taboo is the better album than Kendrick's Damn and J. Cole's For Your Eyes Only.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure you disagree. And let me ask you this. I'm sure you put Damn over Taboo, but do you put For Your Eyes Only also over Taboo?
I think I'm just such a big fan of both of those projects that I have to. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's less of a product of me, looking at those products with those projects, with no bias than I'm looking at them with a bias. You know, I
Okay.
think I'm just a bigger fan of J. Cole and Kendrick's delivery. I'm a bigger fan of the way that they deliver their projects. Their production choices, because at a certain point throughout Taboo, there was maybe a couple of things that I didn't gravitate towards as a listener. So maybe that had set it off for me, especially towards the lower end of the album. But for the most part, I do agree that Taboo is one of the most underrated projects to have come out in the 2010 decade. And if you were like, this take is really not a bad take, and there's a lot of valid points to it. Like, I'm saying Damn and For Your Eyes Only over Taboo because I have a bias. But
I see what you mean.
if you look at it though,
I
I
do
think
thi-
that there is more to Taboo than there is to Damn. But if you want to maybe look at the concept of For Your Eyes Only and compare it to Taboo, then we're gonna have a very serious conversation about
I
what's
don't know,
going on
man.
thematically,
I don't know. I
especially
think
with production
I
choices.
think message-wise, I think the production is maybe the one place where you can get away with the other two being better. But in terms of message, in terms of artist performance, the way that he's changing up his flow, the way that he's getting super personal about past experiences in his life, including him being molested, unfortunately, like just how open and vulnerable he was in that album spoke to me on a different level. And like I said, the changes in mood, the way that he was able to use his voice so artistically, it's night and day for me. I think Taboo gets it, but
It's
to each
always
their own.
it's always a toss up, but guys, we're actually gonna do a piece of content on that because 2018 was a massive year. But let's go on to Littery. Thank you so much for using the super chat, bud. And you said, where would you rank Care Package in Drake's discography? So
That's tough.
that's a great question. I think it's in front of it's probably in front of More Life for me.
Yeah.
I think that it's in front of More Life for me, and I think the reason why we didn't actually include it in the discography ranking is because it's a soundtrack full of like Lucy's. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's more of things that he's either released in the past or that were featured on premium cuts off the albums. Like, there's some different sides to it. So give me your top 3 off of Care Package and tell me where it ranks for you.
Oh man, top 3. The Motion's up there.
The Motions first for me.
I would say 5 a.m. in Toronto is up there as well. And then what's the one with Cole? It's Jodeci Freestyle, right?
Jodeci Freestyle.
That'd probably be my top 3. Care Package is great. I think that it's hard to actually rank it in the catalog just because it's taken songs from different years and kind of just merged it onto a project. So it's hard to really classify it. But I'd agree with you. It's somewhere around number 6 or number 7.
Because it does have some of his strongest material
It
out
does,
there.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of How About Now. I'm a big fan
Draft Day is actually my number 1. I forgot about Draft Day.
4 p.m. in Calabasas is on there as well. Trust Issues is fantastic. I've gone through that project way too many times. Days in the East is another big favorite of mine. That's one of my favorite like Drake R&B sort of rap cuts that I've gotten. But big fan of Care Package. But shout out to Littery. Thank you so much for using the super chat. Let's get on to
Steven Judy. Thank
Steven
you,
Judy.
Steven, man. Shout out to you. We always see you in the comments, and we appreciate the engagement. And Steven says, The Life of Pablo reviews. Keep up the amazing work.
The Life of Pablo.
The Life of Pablo for me as
The
well.
Life of Pablo. I'm a big fan of Views. I'm a massive fan of that project, but I think The Life of Pablo is a classic. I think it's one of the strongest of 2016, and I think it's on the higher end of Kanye's discography when you talk about, all the different types of flavors that he was able to incorporate within that soundtrack, but yet making it sound so coherent and have that clear message. So not only that, but you get some of Kanye's best rapping in his career on songs like Real Friends, 30 Hours, St. Pablo, No More Parties in LA. Like, there's just way too many great songs on there. Even like some songs that are stylistically different than what Kanye was doing on songs like, let's say, Phage, or Ultralight Beam, where he started to get it, started to implement, gospel into his album. So it was a big shift in his career, and I love to see, how he was able to push forward with the rest of his music after the
100%. And the fact that like the track list kept getting updated on the streaming services, that was kind of groundbreaking. Apart from that, I mean, I just love that the point of the album was for it to be messy, was for it to have, Kanye being very sporadic in thought. And not only that, but I mean, the way that was kind of the first album where it didn't have necessarily a reinvention in Kanye in terms of sound, but it did have kind of this new flavor because he was integrating a lot of his previous sounds from albums and just making a collage out of it. I love the album. Views is great too, but Life of Pablo gets it for me.
Shout out, Steve, and thank you so much for sending in the super chat. But let's actually get on to Jesse Burrows. You did not say anything, but you gave us $5.
We appreciate that.
Thank you
Jesse.
so much for the donation. It really helps us. Let's keep going. Now we have Waqlim the Dream. Thank you so much for coming in here. And you donated $10. Thank you so much. And you said, do you think Kenny is the best to ever do it? I know he's built off Pac. All rappers built off previous superstars. Life's building blocks, even rap. But do you think Kenny built off Pac and elevated? That's a very good
It's
point.
That's a great question.
I've mentioned this to Luca on several occasions off of air. I'm gonna have a prediction one day. NFR podcast will do a video
Yeah, we will.
on why Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest rappers to ever do
And it'll
it.
probably be a debate video.
It would because I know Lou stands somewhere. I
Yeah.
know I stand somewhere because I'm a major Kendrick fan. But yes, I think stylistically Kendrick was influenced by Tupac, but he was influenced by so many other rappers such as DMX, Lil Wayne, even Andre 3K. There's a lot of different rappers that that have influenced Kendrick's style. So I think that message-wise and where he was from and where his message started exploding, yes, Tupac's influence was there. But as far as what he's doing stylistically, I don't think anyone's ever touched that of all time. And especially how strong that discography is, in my opinion, you could put it next to Kanye's discography. You could put it next to A Tribe Called Quest's discography. You could put it next to Outkast's discography and have these honest conversations. So that's my opinion. But how about you?
I mean, I think it's too early to say. I think that Kendrick's been, he's been rapping, I think, since 2004. But in terms of his actual projects that have been released, dates back to, if you want to look at his studio albums, 2011 with Section 80. So, I mean, it's only been 10 years at this point. I think it's way too soon to judge his impact as the greatest of all time when, artists like Rakim, like Biggie, like Tupac, like Nas have set that kind of foundation for what hip-hop is. I think it's hard to put him there. Because, yes, catalog is one of the main indicators of who the greatest is, and we've seen already the impact of Kendrick's projects, but there wouldn't be no Kendrick without Pac, and kind of the influence and how, socially and politically aware he was through his music, that was a direct influence to Kendrick, and it's cool to see him maybe even take it into, put it on a bigger spectrum with an album like T-Pap. So, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't think it's time to really to put him there yet. So I would say he's not the GOAT right now. No.
You don't think so? But okay. Well, I mean, there's going to be that conversation at one point. But
there will be.
Even at that, his last album with TDE will be coming out. So that'll be indicating a lot. But let's actually say thank you to Martin Nunez for using the super chat. Thank you so much, bud. And you said, regardless if it's his best drop, Donda is Ye's new magnum opus. Its rollout is just as iconic as MBDTF's, and the new gen will cherish it just as much. And I agree to the point where the rollout is probably his most iconic. I think that it's his best rollout that he's ever performed, at least the one that I've noticed in all of my life. And the fact that, the new generation of listeners are able to gravitate towards Donda, that's fantastic too. But when it comes to the quality of the music, I don't think that it's on the top end of his discography. I still put The Life of Pablo over it, and I still have a couple of other projects. But how about you? What do you think?
It's so tough to say because, when I think of Donda, I always think about it of so much more than just an album. I think about it as an experience from the rollout, from also, the personal turmoil that was going on in Kanye's life at the time, because that is a big part of the music. It's a big part of what inspired the music for Kanye. So is it a magnum opus? I think that artistically he has reached he's kind of reached a new peak, you could say, because I mean, what he was able to do in forming this sound and having an album that's so personal, I feel like it is a masterpiece creatively as an artistic expression, but the music wise, probably not. It is a bloated track list. I'll say that. There are some songs that aren't great.
I agree with you that I think that it's not I don't know. We'll probably have to save that for another video. I think I have way too much to say on it. But thank you so much,
Martin.
Thank you so much, Martin, for the donation. Let's actually get on to Logan. Thank you so much for using the super chat. And you said opinions on the Meek Mill Dream Chasers mixtape. So I'll let you start with that, bro. How do you feel about them? And have you been a fan of them over the years?
The Dream Chasers mixtape, I think that you find a lot of Meek Mill's best material in that mixtape series. I haven't really revisited them all that much, and I feel like as a whole, Meek Mill doesn't make a big part of my rotation, but there's some classic songs on those mixtapes. You have the Blue Notes, you have Offended off of DC4, which is one of my favorite Meek Mill songs ever. So I do appreciate them. I do think that there's a lot of quality in them, and I'm curious to see what the future of that series holds. What about you?
I'd like to see him drop another installment. I think that yes, I have gone through them a couple of times, and I have done my listening sprees, but there's more mixtape, series that I gravitate towards,
Yeah.
especially for my listening. Like, I'm a much bigger fan of Lil Wayne's Dedication series. I'll go into, let's say, old J. Cole mixtapes before I do Meek Mill's, even the same thing for Joey Badass's 1999, like Love of ASAP, Mac Miller's mixtapes. I find like there are some better mixtapes that you could get into, but for the most part, I do think it's iconic, and it did like kickstart, Meek Mill's career. So, I think that it is iconic, and I think that there is value there. But thank you so much, Logan, for sending in the super chat. Let's say thank you to Virgil Sugar Free Wadman. Thank you so much for donating $70.
He's always generous in the
That's
super
so
chat
fucking
chats, man.
generous, dude. Thank you so much for coming in here and showing that type of love and support. And you said, sorry for being the old lame head.
Oh, you said sorry for being the lame old.
The lame old hit.
Okay.
But when did we start including mixtapes into our albums? Like really, if you're reading this, It's Too Late isn't an actual album. And I got to agree with you. I think that to a certain extent, yes, there's that confusion between both of them. But for the most part, I mean, I don't know. Like for a discography, like is it not fitting to include different ones?
I think the reason why an artist like Drake will put out a body of work like If You're Reading This Is Too Late and label it a mixtape is because they don't want it to be seen in the grander scope of their album catalog, because they want more attention on there. They want to really make sure that that body of work has taken a lot of time for them to craft and for that to be perfected. And with something like If You're Reading This Is Too Late, he did that in his hotel room. He did that casually, and the whole idea of what a mixtape is supposed to be is free music. Like that's what they started off as giving fans free music that you kind of put together, not really in a direct order, kind of just loose tracks for fans to enjoy. So we're seeing now that the definition of a mixtape is changing, but I feel like now it's just an excuse of being like, this is not an album from me, but it's a collection of songs.
Yeah,
but there are mixtapes that do have, conceptual kind of ideologies and kind of themes. So it's weird to see where it's going, but I feel like at a certain point, a project should be seen as a project.
Yeah,
almost.
like I don't think that it's the same way that 50 Cent used to put out his mixtapes, back then, or the way that Lil Wayne was doing it, or even the way like Mac Miller, Wale, J. Cole, all of these big dudes were putting out their mixtapes. Now it's like it's more mainstream. There's more of a commercial success behind it. Like not only that, but back then a lot of mixtapes like, you were rapping over other people's productions and you were stylistically diving into different sounds while not hurting your main catalog. So I think, for a lot of people, more and more people are starting to gravitate towards mixtapes because it's a looser feel. It's an easier listen over an album. Like an album, you have to sit through it and understand the track sequencing, understand the the thematic messages. You might not need to do that with a mixtape, depending on the mixtape. But Virgil, it's always a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for using the super chat, but we really appreciate it. But let's move on to Colin Hanson. While we're talking about Kendrick, how would you all rank his discography? I don't know if you already done that, but in my opinion, he's the GOAT. Much love, boys. Much love to you for
Thanks,
donating.
Colin.
How do you feel about that, man? Like, okay, because we obviously want to do a discography dive of his. So, how many people are in here right now? How many people we got?
150 about.
Okay, fuck it, we'll say it.
We'll just say it, guys. Don't spoil it for anybody else, because we do want to do an actual video on this at one point. Okay, so let's just do it.
We'll state it, no explanations.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, we'll do a studio album. So I want to start with at the bottom. Fuck, it's so tough, man.
Are we including Untitled, Unmastered, and Overly Dedicated?
No, just studio albums.
So Section 80, Damn, GKMC, and To Pimp a Butterfly for me. That's my order.
Okay, I'll go at the bottom to top. I'll go Damn, Section 80, which those two are really interchangeable. To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah, I know you have a bit of a different order for them, but
yeah,
we'll end up getting into that into a video, because there's so much explanation and so much thought that has to go into a discography ranking for Kendrick. But that's probably my order for over the years. Thank you so much, Colin, for using the super chat. Let's move on to Imagine. Thank you so much for using the super chat once again. Do you think M's next project will be quality? I'll always give him the benefit of the doubt.
I won't.
I'll always give him
not at this point.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Man. I mean, it's been almost 10 years since he's given us a good body of work. Let's keep it 100, man. The last time we got something that you can say was truly quality, Marshall Mathers LP 2. I did like Kamikaze.
Even that's very debatable.
No,
That's a very-
there's some
very
great songs in
debatable
there.
album. I
But
think
anyways,
that-
you're just helping me prove my point that he hasn't given us a good album.
I know,
so
but like
long.
I always want to
but-
be. I always want to support that guy, man. Like he's birthed my hip hop listening. You know, like how could you not be optimistic for an Eminem project, right? Like remember when we heard Kamikaze? Like we were genuinely impressed with it. You know?
I liked it because he changed up his style and he was kind of on his shady vibes in the sense that he was calling people out. He was taking no shit, and you could have seen that there was a new hunger in him and that he was actually motivated by something, because for a long time it felt like, yes, he was still putting out albums with substance, but vocally the passion wasn't there like it previously was. But he needed something to stir him up, and that's what happened with Kamikaze. After he got all the shit from putting out Revival, he actually had something to say. But that's the question right now, is does Eminem still have something to say? And not only that, but will he stop trolling us and, you know, giving us songs like Step Dad and actually give us some quality? I think a lot has to do with the production choices, and I think that his beat selection has gone down the fucking drain lately.
Do you think that's a product of him steering away from Dr. Dre production?
Yeah, of course, man.
Because the last
course.
Dr. Dre produced album was Relapse. So what are you really doing after that? Like you could see that there was a bit of a sharp decline in his discography after Relapse.
But the problem is that he's Eminem. Like nobody's out of reach. Go give a call to Madlib. Go give
Does
a call to The Alchemist.
I'm sure
Do something.
I'm sure he has crazy studio sessions with those guys, but I mean,
But the music, we don't hear it in the music.
I know, but I mean, it's a new generation of Eminem listeners. Like, even at that, like, think about all of his OG fans. Like, do you think they're really fucking with his new material? Like, after you've honestly sat down and listened to the Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, and the Eminem Show, could you honestly sit down and say that Music to Be Murdered By is on par with his capabilities and with his skill set? I can't say that. I genuinely can't sit here and be a dishonest fan. But the thing is that he's kind of generated this new fan base that fucks with that sound. So it's like, he wants more longevity? Go for it, man. The guy's eating, the guy's rapping, so who gives a fuck at the end
He
of the
knows
day?
it's not his best material, though. Like,
No,
he
he
knows.
definitely knows it's not his. But like, listen, this guy's created some of the best material of all time.
I know,
Like,
that's the point.
Like, let's get that straight. But yeah, there's definitely been a sharp.
And it's
decline in his
crazy that
catalog.
like he's teased it so many times that like he's gonna retire and then comes back and it's not it anymore. So I hope that it's gonna be good to answer your question, but I don't know if it will be.
Yeah, but that was great. Thank you so much for sending in that super chat. But let's actually go on to Braden. Thank you so much for donating. And you says,
Sorry, before we get to that, I just want to shout out Sahil Nihar, who sent $20 before,
Oh,
and we
really?
hadn't mentioned it, but thank you so much for that donation.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry we weren't able to get to that, but thank you so much for supporting the cause. Let's move on to Braden. Thank you so much again for using the super chat. And you said, where do you guys have Nas and Mobb Deep in your top rappers ranking?
Ooh.
Two of all my all-time favorites. Best podcast on YouTube. Keep it up, boys. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the support, Braden. And Nas, I'll go top 5. Mobb Deep, I'll go top 20. I think that's where I'll have it. I'm not going to give them anything specific because I would have to go through and like listen to a lot of old music and really get my rankings. But how about you? Where would you place them both?
Nas is definitely top 5. You can make the argument top 3. I don't know if I would personally have him there, but easily top 5 of all time. Mobb Deep, I mean, that's so tough to say because, I mean, you're talking about two different rappers, so it's kind of hard to rank them as a duo, but yeah, definitely in that top 25 range.
I think that's fair for both of them. But thank you so much, Braden, for using the super chat. Let's go back on to Bailey Fueler. Thank you so much for using the super chat again and said, signed up to Patreon, love from Australia. Who do you think are the rappers that get showed, that get shadowed, that need light? I say Amine, Kyle, and Denzel. They all have amazing albums, but no one ever speaks about them. And thank you so much for signing up to the Patreon. Anyone in this stream right now that wants access to our Patreon content, the link is in the description. You guys could decide on our YouTube videos. You guys have access to an extra video from us a week. There's a lot of cool benefits there. If you're interested, go into the description. But to answer you, Bailey, I feel as if Amine is a big one. Kyle... depends the day for me, but let's actually get on to Denzel. I mean, Denzel's a super underappreciated rapper because not only does he have the skill and capability, but he also has the catalog. So where do you think Denzel gets lost in that mix?
I think he gets lost in the mix that, I mean, he does have videos and, you know, songs with millions and millions of streams and views, but I feel like people just look at his biggest stuff, his tracks that are kind of really explosive, like an Ultimate or like a Cloud Cobain, that really get the conversation going. But then you get a song like If Tomorrow's Not Here off of Imperial, which nobody talks about, and he's kind of giving you this perspective of someone who's locked up and, you know, what their mindset's like when they're in a jail cell. Like Denzel's, I would say, not so popular songs are overlooked, and also his catalog, because his discography has been super slept on, and people don't know really too much about his story, about his influences. I mean, he was hugely inspired by DMX, and you still hear that to this day. Not only that, but his ability vocally, the way that he integrates screamo rap into hip hop, the way that he can actually harmonize if he wants to. There's so much to appreciate about Denzel, and I think that he's one of the few artists out there that, you know, is part of still that new generation who could deliver masterpieces moving forward. There's not many that could do it. He's one of them that could still be on there, but who are some other rappers that you think deserve more spotlight?
Chris Patrick's one of them. I was actually talking to Colin about Chris Patrick today because he's doing a lot of work with CXR, Chris's like affiliate label and all that sort of stuff. And I think Chris Patrick is a great fucking artist. We met him through Twitter, and we actually did an interview with him. And he's gearing up to drop a new project. It's apparently going to be coming out very soon. He just dropped a new single called Gang Activity. So if you have to ask me about one underground rapper that I have a lot of belief in and that I think is going to make major waves, I do think it's Chris Patrick. Not only that, but I think that he has like that Dreamville sort of sound where, you know, he's a lyricist, but also stylistically he could dive into different genres. So I think that's someone that's big for me. But Amity's a really good pick because I was a major fan of Limbo, and not many people were talking about it like that. So
yeah,
it depends.
It has
for
its
me.
niche kind of following, but yeah, not too many people talking about it. Who do I think doesn't get enough shine? I would say Westside Boogie is one of those artists. I think
That's
that
facts.
super versatile artist. Everything's for Sale was a great album, and just a very unique voice. It's kind of smooth, it's kind of tender, but he can spit a 32 if you want him to. Some other artists that come to mind, Rome Streets is one of them. New Griselda signee. I think that he's killing it. Death. Is it Death with a Magician? Let me just check that up. Hold up. I think it's Death by a Magician. It's with DJ Muggs. Hold on.
Mixtape or full album?
Full album
When did it come out?
this year.
I haven't listened to it yet.
I think
Griselda signee?
It's Death and the Magician. Fantastic album, one of the best of the year. Griselda signee really brings you back to the 90s East Coast era of hip hop with his technical ability, rapping wise. This guy's rhyme schemes are fucking out of this world. So listen to Death and the Magician if you haven't already. That's just one of my picks. We'll move on to the next question now. Again, shout out to Sahil for the $20 donation. Next up, we have Jesse Burrows, who sent in $5. Thank you so much for using the super chat feature. And Jesse says, love the channel. My question is, if you had to pick the best album out of these three, which one would it be? This is tough. The Blueprint, Marshall Mathers LP, The Carter 3. Oh,
That's a heavy bomb.
I think The Carter 3 can be eliminated.
I think the Carter 3's out of there for me.
Yeah.
I think the Carter 3.
That's out of the
I
conversation.
think the Carter 3's out of there for me.
Oh,
I think that the Blueprint of the Marshall Mathers LP,
two masterpieces.
both.
Two classics.
I would put both of those in my top 10 albums of all time.
Really? Wow.
I would put both
Okay.
of those.
Both in my top 20. I don't know about top 10.
The Blueprint is definitely maybe a bit higher though.
I think I got to go the Marshall Mathers LP
I think
on
I'm
this.
going the Blueprint for myself. I think that when it comes to my favorite Eminem album, it's a Slim Shady LP. I think that's my
So
favorite.
that would go over the Blueprint?
Oh, I don't know, cause like,
wow, okay.
I don't know. I don't, because I'm such a big fan of the Blueprint, and I think it's Jay-Z's best project. I think it's one of the best projects to ever come out of, you know, the East Coast. And not only that, but when I think about the Blueprint, I could put that, you know, side by side with Ready to Die, and I have no problem doing that comparison. At least in my opinion. Like I really do have
I don't
the
know, man.
dude. The Blueprint
It's not Ready to Die level.
Oh,
that's the
I
greatest
don't
hip hop
know.
album of all time,
I don't
guys.
know. It's up there with 36 Chambers.
I'll give you this. The Blueprint's better than Marshall Mathers LP production wise. I'll give you that. But as an overall album, no. There's no way. There's no fucking way. And Eminem
I don't know,
Eminem
bro.
got him on Renegade.
I don't know.
Eminem got him on Renegade. Don't forget.
But listen, no, yeah, like Eminem did body him on the feature, but it wasn't even a fucking body, bro. I'm
No, it
sorry,
wasn't a
didn't-
body.
It wasn't a body.
No.
You had the better
Yeah.
part of the song, but for the most part, if you want to talk about what was one of the best albums to ever come out of the East Coast, it's definitely the Blueprint. Like, is it Jay-Z's best album?
Reasonable Doubts in there.
Is it Jay-Z's best album? Yes or no?
To me, it is, but the Marshall Mathers LP is Eminem's best. Two classics. I got to go with the Marshall Mathers LP just because I love how organic the process of that album felt, because You have a wild character in Slim Shady with the Slim Shady LP, and then the transition where you actually get to hear about, Marshall Mathers himself, still mixed in with the fucked up psyche and the twisted thoughts. That blend worked so well for me, and I think that delivery-wise, also flow-wise, Eminem got him. Eminem got him.
Flow-wise, I don't know about flow-wise.
Eminem got, but like I said, production-wise, what Kanye and Just Blaze did on the Blueprint, that revolutionized hip hop. So production-wise, the Blueprint gets it.
Fuck, that's such a hard conversation to have because both of those albums are such big classics for me. Okay, I'll give you that. The Marshall Mathers LP is a better written album. I'll give it that. I'll say that. But
it's tough. It's tough, man.
It's definitely a tough question. But let's actually get on to Justin. Thank you so much for using the super chat. You said modern hip hop 2005 to 2020 over classic hip hop 1990 to 2005. Whoa, that's a good fucking question. So
it's really simple for me. I think that the 90s up until 2005 is the better era of hip hop. What do I listen to more though? 2005 to 2020.
You think it was the better era of hip hop?
Yeah.
In what way? You think pure capabilities, like pure technicality, production, like what goes in for that decision?
More than anything else, like myself as a listener, I mean, everybody loves hip hop as a genre because of how many different subgenres there are, because of how many different things there are to appreciate. But myself, something that I've always cared about the most when listening to hip hop is the substance, is the messaging, is the lyrics. And it doesn't take anyone to say that, in terms of at least mainstream hip hop, lyricism has kind of fallen off a bit. So when I listen to albums like Only Built for Cuban Links, when I listen to albums like Illmatic, I'm not getting that in today's modern hip hop.
Well, not only that,
era.
but you have albums like The Chronic 2001, you have The Blueprint, you have the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, Get Rich or Die Trying, Ready to Die, All Eyes on Me. So I think I do listen to more modern hip hop just because like that's when I've come up with. But yes, as you said, I think that classic hip hop is much better as far as like projects and coherent projects.
And they fathered so many of today's artists. So I mean, like, I don't know. It's tough to say, but that was a good question.
That was a great question.
Shout out to Mystery for the $2 donation. They actually retracted their message. If you do have a question to ask, just drop it in and we'll try to get to it. But thank you for using the super chat. We do appreciate it. Shout out to Matthew Jordan as well for sending in $10. It's a pleasure to answer your question. And he asks, do you guys think Drake or The Weeknd has the better discography? Also, are you guys thinking about doing a Faces throwback by review when it drops on streaming services next month? I'm going to answer the second part first. Mac Miller is personally one of our favorite artists of all time, so we haven't actually dived into any Mac Miller content yet. So when we do put out our first video, I do want it to be special. I don't know if the Faces throwback is going to be the first thing that we cover because I want to have an introduction the right way to how we view Mac Miller's music, because to me, he truly is one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time. And a lot of people are going to give me slack for that, but the evolution that he's had in his career is fucking groundbreaking. So we will be doing some Mac Miller content on the channel, but I'll make you answer the other question about Drake or The Weeknd.
Better discography, Drake. I think that Drake has a better discography, but I think it's maybe the lack of the fact that I haven't visited The Weeknd's discography as much as I've visited Drake's. Like, if I may be going through Starboy or After Hours, House of Balloons, like those are all great fucking projects in my eyes. But I think I've been a bigger fan of Drake over the years, and that his sound has gravitated more towards me.
It's tough to say. I mean, like, because both of those artists kind of had a helping hand in forming, I would say, the cloudy and moody R&B that we hear a lot of today. But they've also both, leaned on their influences. If you look at After Hours, very inspired by, 80s synth pop and all that sort of stuff. So it's tough to say. I definitely listen to a lot more Drake than I do The Weeknd, but I mean, I think that they both have discographies on the same level, to be honest.
That is true. They both have a similar discography where they're all super commercially successful.
A lot of pop records.
A lot of massive pop records. A lot of different attempts at different genres, maybe.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think that they're both on par, and two Canadian legends nonetheless. But
Facts.
Let's get on to Mega YouTube 99. Thank you so much for coming into the stream today, boss, and using the super chat. And you said, yay, Drake LP or Cole Dot LP. Who makes the better album, Cole Kendrick? I think off the bat I'd take a Cole.
Very easily.
I think
Very
I
easily
think
at
I'd
that. I don't think the Kanye Drake LP would do very much for me at all.
Oh, you okay? Explain
I
why,
don't-
because we've talked about this before.
Just give me Kanye production for Drake. Lift Yourself would have been fucking amazing. Lift Yourself would have been the best song on Scorpion.
You think so?
Yeah, of course, but it's the nature of Drake. Drake's biggest influence for his production is what Kanye did with Chipmunk Soul. Think about Drake's best songs, and it's Drake rapping over vocal samples, over these Chipmunk Soul samples.
That
So
is true.
I mean, the best bet with that is literally Kanye production for Drake performances. But if you look at a song like Glow, it did fuck all for me.
No, yeah,
It
Glow,
did nothing.
Glow was way too disappointing.
It
for
did
me,
absolutely nothing. But
Oh.
if you look at Cole and Dot and the way that they were able to remix their own songs for the whole Black Friday thing, that shit shook me to my core.
Yeah,
That's like, wow.
that's like
These guys are...
even something like Forbidden Fruit, let's say,
Yeah.
where it was just where Kendrick just had like a little bit of a chorus. Like there wasn't much to that, but even like Cole's production is fantastic. Looking at High Power too, like there's so many instances where J. Cole and Kendrick could be making beautiful fucking music, and plus like they're both dedicated to their craft and the fact that they want to deliver beautiful messages and they want to deliver actual content matter. Where the Drake and Kanye album, it may be more on the braggadocious side of things. It might be more of like the luxury rap, and it's also like, are you getting the Donda Ye or are you getting like the Life of Pablo Ye
I
with
know,
Drake?
man.
Like which one are you getting?
You don't know.
Because if you're getting the Donda Ye, I don't see that going with Drake's content matter whatsoever. But if you're getting something like The Life of Pablo or even Yeezus or even MBDTF that's more braggadocious, then yes, I could see him matching that same energy.
I would have loved to have seen Drake on Believe What I Say, though.
That's true. That is
Fuck,
facts.
man.
I wanted that Andre 3K
I know,
feature. But
I
listen,
know.
shout out to Isaiah for sending us $5. And by the way, bud, I saw your question above it, so thank you for using it twice. But I'll get to the question regardless. Huge fan of the podcast. Love your guys' videos. Thank you. We love you, Isaiah.
Thank you.
And you said, question: do y'all think Post Malone will drop this year? And if so, what direction will he go in? We were listening to Motley Crue the other
Molly
night.
Crue, yeah.
I'm not a fan of that song
It's okay.
whatsoever. No.
It's all right.
It's not a good song, buddy. Come on.
His delivery's a bit weird. The way he's pronouncing the words, it's a bit off. But this is a very good question, Isaiah, because the whole Post Malone situation has me thinking, because hasn't been many teases, hasn't been too much info on new Post Malone music. But after hearing something like Molly Crue, which is kind of has some pop and trap flavoring to it, it leaves me answering, like, where the fuck is this guy going? Because he just put out Hollywood's Bleeding, which barely had any hip-hop in it at all. So it's like, it seemed like logically he was making that pop transition, but now it's like he's taking steps back. I'm honestly confused. So I don't know where he is. I do think he's dropping at least a project this year.
I do think so, but I have a take. I think that after Stoney and after Beer Bongs and Bentleys, I think it went downhill from there. I genuinely...
It's not over yet, though.
I don't think it's over yet, but I genuinely do think that was the peak of his career. And for the most part, though, I'm always down to listen to new Post Malone because whatever he puts out vocally is fire. But for the most part, though, like, where could he actually go stylistically? Like, Motley Crue was something nice and different that I never heard him do again, but... Man, it was.
I wouldn't say it's that different. I don't know.
It's different than what he's ever done, though. Like, I've never heard him do those types of flows. And
Vocally, yes.
And
vocally.
he's low-key using a Playboy Cardi baby voice. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's what's fucking crazy too. I'm telling you.
Shout out Playboy Cardi, man.
Dude, we're gonna do a video on how many fucking people have taken that baby voice.
The influence of Playboy Cardi, bro. I'm telling you.
You know how many fucking people
nuts.
have taken that baby voice?
I'm sorry. Right now he's the most influential rapper in the game. I don't give a fuck.
There's a lot
now.
There's a
Believe it or
lot
not,
of trap
and
artists.
I don't even like Whole Lotta Red. I don't even like what he's doing now, but you can't deny the influence. You can't.
There's a lot of people trying to take his song, but shout out to that question. Thank you so much, Isaiah. Now let's get on to mystery. Ready to Die or All Eyes on Me? Ooh. Oh, that's vicious. That's
Ready to Die for me.
I'm going Ready to Die off the bat.
Ready to Die right away.
I think it's because I've gravitated towards it more over the years, but All Eyes on Me is...
Hearing fucking Pac come in with that vicious energy,
I don't even think All Eyes on Me, though, is his best project.
No,
I think
Me Against the World
is
probably
my favorite Tupac project. I would probably put Me Against the World on the same level as Ready to Die. I think that when you get into that mix, Ready to Die is like that magnum opus. I think it's on the same level as Illmatic, and it's on the same level as 36 Chambers, and then you go down just like a little notch,
touch, and you have
a little notch, and then you have like Me
Against the World.
Yeah. Even All Eyes on Me is in there. There's
It
a
is.
lot. Well, again, we're gonna be diving more into like classic hip hop albums as the years go on.
We
But
will.
where are we actually?
Are we at Jack? I'm not sure.
I think we are at Jack. Hold on. Nick, could you
Yeah,
just check if
we're at Jack. I'll read it out to you guys. So
Okay.
Jack,
perfect?
it actually follows up with the previous question, and he says Biggie's "Ready to Die" is the greatest rap album of all time.
Switch to Lou right away.
Much love to you, Jack. All right, this is the greatest rap album of all time to me. It's my favorite rap album of all time, and this was my introduction to Biggie. I mean, I think that the first song I ever heard from him was Big Papa, and then I was totally fucking floored, and I had to check out the whole project. And this shit is fucking like, this just influenced probably every rapper in the game. I think that in terms of flow, like he mastered and like he beat the flow level.
Is it
Like,
the best album of all time?
It's
though?
the best album of all time to me.
I
It's the
don't know,
greatest album of all time to
I
me.
want you to stay on
It
Blue
was
Shot,
it was
Nick.
game changing for its time, and honestly, it was one of the first albums that not only spoke very detailed in a detailed oriented sense about the gangster and the mafioso persona, which of course so many 90s albums took influence from that after, but also one of the first rap albums to dive into mental health.
That is true. That is true. I never
Fucking
really thought.
groundbreaking. Look at Suicidal Thoughts, man.
I know. There's some very deep.
This
context
album's
on there.
a fucking
I know.
perfect
It's
10 on
up there.
10.
It's top
It's
five
a
of all.
perfect album.
It's top 5 of all time for me. But you want to know what's my number one? Go back to Lou Shot for a second. I'm gonna see if you could see it through the
Wait,
Real shot.
can I? Well, wait. It's
right
2001,
right
right?
there, right next to the Benny the Butcher vinyl, right there. I think that's my favorite rap album of all time. I think that when you look at the way that he was able to put together a crazy fucking feature list like that was one of the first albums of all time to do that. By the way, to have that many features come together and make it sound so coherent. Plus, what I love about Dr. Dre is that he always brings the best out of his artists. Like when you're getting onto a Dr. Dre project, you're delivering some of the best material of your life. So, example, someone like Hitman getting on this.
Fuck.
That was one of the best performances that I've heard on any album. Then you get into Eminem, you get into Ice Cube, you get into Snoop Dogg. There's just so much different shit that goes into 2001 that makes it beautiful. Not only that, but this was the first time where Dr. Dre kind of steered away from using samples and actually went into a live instrumentation with Millman. So, I mean, my favorite produced album of all time. I think it's the best produced album of all time. People like Kanye West have been influenced by this album and have influenced production-wise, just the industry on a whole different level. So I think that's my number one. But thank you, Jack, for the super chat. Let's keep going. Golden Tongue, that's a funny name. I really fuck with that.
Shout out to Golden Tongue,
Thank you.
always in the comment section. So
Thank you
much
so
love to you.
Thank you so much for coming through. And you said, I really can't wait to listen to West Side Gun's B-side. I definitely feel like it will be stronger than the stronger side of the album. What's your thoughts?
Well,
So-
I've spoken to someone who's heard it, and apparently it is the stronger side. And I loved side A. I thought it was great. And of course, we'll include that in our album review that we're doing tonight. It'll probably be out. I don't know if it'll be out tonight or tomorrow, guys, but stay tuned for our West Side Gun HWH8 review. And Tyler, the Creator, Jay Electronica, some new Madlib production. This shit's going to be fucking fire, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
different
can't
stuff.
wait.
There's going to be some great fucking parts on this. I'm super excited to review it because I was definitely impressed with Side A. I loved how there was more of like an underground sort of feel to Side A where like, there was some other people that were on there. But I want to see what Side B has to offer. And I think it was cool the fact that he was able to drop both sides because created anticipation. for this-
33 songs by the end of it, it's going to be.
But I'm interested in that. And by the way, shout out to Nicholas Craven. He's from Montreal and he actually has some production credits on Side B. He's a fantastic producer. But thank you so much, Golden Tongue, for the donation. Let's keep going. Big Uzi Vert, I like that again. I love the names, guys. Thank you so much for the donation. And you said, can you do a short ranking of Travis's discography? We already have it out, by the way, if you're interested in seeing the whole discography ranking. But I believe mine went Owl Farrell, DBR, Birds in the Trap, Astroworld, and then Rodeo. I think that was my ranking.
I
But
think
how
I'd
about you?
have to go Alfaro, Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight, Days Before Rodeo, and number one, Astroworld. So I think we kind of disagreed on our number one, right? You have Rodeo at number one?
I think you have Birds in the Trap lower than DBR.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have DBR higher.
Okay.
I think that it's more.
No,
replayable as a
I have DBR higher than Birds.
I have Birds. Sorry, I have Birds
Yeah,
higher than
yeah,
DBR. I
yeah.
think that Birds is better for replay value. But thank you so much to Big Uzi Vert for the donation. Let's get on to Bailey Fueler.
Shout out Bailey,
thank-
third donation tonight. We appreciate that, man.
Thank you so much for putting out the love for us. We really do appreciate it. And you said G-Eazy album of the year contender out in Australia. Okay.
Look, we weren't planning on reviewing it. We'll be totally honest with
No.
you. We're not the biggest fans of G-Eazy, but we'll give it a listen, and if we enjoy it, it might come out later on as the weeks go on. So
If we end
that's
up,
interesting. That's interesting to hear that it's an album of the year contender.
Listen,
You
I
caught my interest.
You did catch my interest. Let's actually see though. If we end up fucking with it, we'll end up putting a review
Yeah.
out for it. So you'll know our answer if the review ends up coming out. Thank you so much, Bailey, for using the super chat. Let's go on to Frank Stratty. Thank you so much for using the super chat. And you said, I'm a huge Wu fan. Hope you guys do a Wu themed vid one day. Can you guys name a better producer run than RZA 93 to 97 between solo member albums and Wu albums? That's facts. That's facts.
That's so tough,
I think
too.
that RZA did have the best run in the 90s, but I think that when you look at what Dr. Dre did with the Chronic and, even Doggy Style and even Chronic 2001, I know he had a bit of misses between that, but even the Slim Shady LP, like the Marshall Mathers LP, Get Rich or Die Trying, the documentary, I think that...
True, but it's not like he produced like every song on a lot of those. While you could say
That's
that
true.
RZA did produce like let's say a big bulk of the solo members' albums on the Wu-Tang, but that's tough to say. I mean, RZA and Dre are both some of the best producers of all time, but I think that fuck, man, because RZA is super creative as a producer. I love the way that he'll put in samples from old kung fu movies and like just be super creative with his sample choices and just the drum patterns. Everything is just you're hearing a RZA beat when it comes on, and his run was incredible. Not many producer runs better than that. So thank you for the question.
That is true. That is facts.
And
Well, go for it. No, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say shout out to Calvin for the $1 donation.
Thank you so much, Calvin.
We
We really
appreciate
appreciate it, Calvin.
Shout out to Mega YouTube again for donating. We really appreciate that. And Mega YouTube says X or Juice. For me, it's X all day.
I'm gonna agree. I think
I'm gonna agree with
I'm a
that,
bigger
yeah.
fan of X's catalog. I think that 17 was a great fucking
Question
project.
mark was awesome.
You know what was crazy about 17 for me was how short the listen was and how much great messaging was packed into such a short album. And not only that, on something like Question Mark, when you're talking about Infinity, like you were able to see how X was able to dive into both sides of his artistry, one into a completely different hip hop lane where he's able to go on a boom bap beat with Joey Badass, and then how he's able to dive into mental health issues when he's singing in a more melodic and darker tone. So it was nice to see that duality from him, and I think that I'm a bigger fan of X's music. But overall, I do think that Juice's catalog is super underrated and that he has a lot of great songs to him. But shout out to Mega YouTube. My bad, I almost lost your name here, but thank you so much for the donation. But let's keep going. Bailey Fueler again, bro. Thank you so much for the donations.
Mad love to you, Bailey.
You're going
really
crazy.
appreciate that, brother.
You're going crazy tonight, Bailey. Thank you so much for using the super chat. And you said, "What is happening with Life of a Don? Will it drop?" Another take is Diet was
Song of the year.
Diet.
Diet off of Unlocked.
Oh, fuck, my bad. Okay, that's my bad. Was Song of the Year with the DMX influence, takes control of Zell. The Array 2014 Brisbane Eminem Rapture lineup, I went to it.
Okay, well, let's start off with the first question. What is happening with Life of a Don? I don't know. And what's weird about the whole Life of a Don situation is the fact that Don Toliver's tour that he's currently on, that has already started, is called the Life of a Don tour, but the album isn't even out yet. And it's crazy because it seems like Travis is waiting on Utopia, for Don to come out first. But the weeks are passing. Like, the big dogs are out of the way. Kanye and Drake both dropped, which is what I thought was holding him back initially. So at this point, there should be no holdup. So I don't think it's coming out tonight. I think it'll be out in the next few weeks. But Diet being Song of the Year from 2020, I don't know, but it's up there.
Yeah, honestly,
you don't remember it?
I have.
Energy-wise, it's super strong, and the DMX delivery is it's extraordinary to see Denzel kind of embody that presence so well. But what about the 2014 Brisbane Rapture lineup? I'm not sure what that is.
No, I'm not. Pull it up on your phone. Let's see what's actually going on here.
Let me pull this up.
Let's see.
In the meantime, you want to just maybe see if we got any other super chats.
Yeah, let's go through the rest of them. Big Uzi Vert, could Utopia be album of the year? Love the vids. Thank you so much, Big Uzi Vert. Thank you so much for donating. And my personal opinion about Utopia is that it could actually become an album of the year for a couple of different reasons. I feel as if with every single Travis Scott album that I've heard to date, there has been some sort of evolution within the music, and there has been a quality upgrade within all of his projects. Not only that, but I do think that maybe Utopia is going to be maybe sidetracked for a bit, and he might release a mixtape before, because what most artists do is that they'll release a mixtape before they drop a full-fledged album, get people used to the type of sounds that they're trying to go into. I mean, Birds in the Trap was kind of like a transition into Astroworld, so that might happen. But as far as Utopia goes, I'm a massive fan of the Lost Forever snippet. If that's a type of, let's say, psychedelic production that he's trying to go into, because he did say that it's going to be psychedelic rock influenced, I'm super down for it, and I do think that it could be an album of the year contender.
I agree with you. I think it could be an album of the year contender. Anytime that Travis drops, he takes everyone's attention by storm. But back to Bailey's question. So the Rapture tour, was the tour associated to the Marshall Mathers LP 2 release? By the way, Nick, was that the one that you went to?
The one I went to was in Detroit. It wasn't in Australia, but it was not the same tour. Mine was the Monster tour.
I see. I got you. Okay. And yeah, apparently this tour was actually accompanied by Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Jacob Lindsley, and Action Bronson.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's a great set list.
That is a great set list. So
wow.
who would you be the craziest to watch there? Like 2014 Kendrick's fucking deep.
Yeah, I gotta go Kendrick on there.
2014 Kendrick is really deep. Off of GKMC. Well, GKMC came out in 2012, and then after that he dropped Tim Pimp a Butterfly in 2015. So that 3-year break was massive for him, and seeing him right before, I
also feel like Action Bronson's probably a crazy performer too.
That is true. I've never seen Action Bronson live. I know he came to Montreal though not too long ago. I think it was maybe in 2017. My cousin wanted to go, but we didn't end up making it. But shout out to you for the super chat. Let's go on to Golden Tongue again. And you said, how do you feel about this new hyper pop wave of music? So
it's super weird because it doesn't even sound like hip hop. Like it's one of those like new subgenres that it's like, is this even rap anymore? Like,
who would you consider in this lane though?
Cardi for sure, Trippie Redd, I would say, Lancey Foo, like some of those guys I would say are kind of diving into that lane. But I don't know if I'm really a fan of it. You?
I like how different it is. I like how different it is, but for the most part, I have my question marks with it. I think that shout out Mike. Mike just got into the studio.
What's going on, Mike?
I don't know. I think that I mean it's different, but then again, like when we're talking about quality of the music, like I much rather listen to the underground scene with everything that like Griselda's releasing before I go into that. So
for sure.
At least that's my.
Thank you for the question though. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Golden.
Shout out to Ethan for the $5 donation. We really appreciate it. And Ethan asks, love this channel, watching from work. What kind of album do you want from Drake following Certified Lover Boy? I feel like he will be motivated to make an If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. And this is where I stand with Drake, is that there's no reason for him to change up his formula, right? He's been winning, putting out the same type of album for the last couple of years now, but artistically, he's not evolving. Artistically, he's not really stepping it up. He's not getting out of his comfort zone. So what I want to see happen is Drake honing on one sound, because we know by this point, he's proved that he can do the R&B, he can do the trap music, he can do the fucking dancehall shit. We know all of that. But at this point, I want him to hone in on one sound, and if that's going to be introspective rapping with boom bap production or whatever, great. That's what I want. If it's going to be all dance hall music, fine, but stick to one sound. That's what I want to hear from Drake.
That's what you want to hear from his next mixtape?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
Because he's probably going to release a mixtape before another studio album, like he usually does. Did it with If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Then obviously went into Views. Then you got More Life, which was a playlist going into Scorpion. And then you got Dark Lane demo tapes going into CLB. So you could probably expect a different type of project from him. But
what do you want, though? You don't know?
I don't even know what I want at this point. Like, to be honest with you, like, I think it's just a case of I'm going to put my expectations aside and I'm going to go in, because I remember the first time we listened to CLB, it was a bit jaded.
Yeah.
You know, like we had a bit of a different opinion around it.
But let's go back to the actual questions from all of our platforms.
Yeah, so let's go to the YouTube community. When we put it into the community tab, we have a good one here from Vibe Music's Only. This one's interesting. He said, let's be honest, who will win in a versus battle Eminem or Drake with 20 songs each?
That's funny because we were actually having that conversation casually, like I think last week, right?
Yeah.
And you were on Eminem's side and I was on Drake's side. So what makes you think that Eminem wins in a versus battle?
I think when you look at numbers, especially for the time that Eminem was coming up, the fact that Eminem is still one of the most highest selling artists of all time, still on the level of Michael Jackson, the
So is
Beatles, not highest selling.
I think
like
he's almost.
streaming
I think
numbers,
he's almost at 200 million records sold
like
worldwide.
I'll confirm that after the stream. When we go to streaming, yes, I do agree that Drake has dominated the streaming era, but when it comes to material and product, you know what Eminem has to offer. Plus, I feel as if when you go through the whole discography, there's a lot of major songs that are slept on from Eminem just because you kind of forget them because they were almost dropped 2 decades ago. So there is that
Yes.
time and there is that time factor, and the fact that I'm more in tune with Drake's discography now because I maybe have it more in rotation because it's newer. Maybe that's another fact, but the thing is that Eminem is the first guy to be doing this. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's my whole point with this.
Yes, but I just feel like when you're looking at it from the perspective of a versus battle, I love Eminem's music. I think that if you put up Eminem's best songs and you match them up with Drake's best songs, Eminem probably has the higher highs in terms of all-time great songs. But I'll listen to Eminem on my way to work. I'll listen to Eminem, on my free time in my fucking bedroom. But on a versus battle, hit for hit, shit that's going to move a crowd, it's Drake all the way, man.
No.
He's made the hits that have defined a generation, and that's kind of the approach that he took with his entire career, is making those hits, having those huge moments. So in the scene of a versus battle, it's Drake all the way.
I think when it comes to individually looking at the singles, there's probably more Eminem songs that have that commercial success than over Drake. But for the most part, if you want to talk about what's going to get people dancing, you definitely have to go with Drake. But thank you so much for sending in the super chat. Let's go on to Isaiah. Can Chance bounce back from his last album,
Yes.
The Big Day? Yes, absolutely he can.
The Heart and the Tongue, which came out this year, was
You're a
fucking
big fan- yeah,
phenomenal.
you're a big
I
fan
love
of that
that
song.
song. Might make my top 50 songs of the year. There's been so much good music, and that
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a lot, but I love that Chance song.
Listen, after what he did with Acid Rap and Coloring Book, like, there's no reason to think, why not? Like, I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and say that I'm the biggest Chance the Rapper fan. I'm not. I'm really not. But
you
to
appreciate the quality.
fuck yeah, you have to. Like, what he's done for not only hip-hop, but even, like, the subgenre of psychedelic hip-hop and gospel hip-hop is fucking massive. Like, think about it. Chance the Rapper was really one of the first guys to really touch upon gospel
He
rap
was.
in that matter.
Yeah.
If Chance the Rapper didn't start that, does Kanye use Ultralight Beam and start going into a religious direction? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And we even know that Kanye did say that Chance the Rapper did inspire him to go into that direction. So people have to be very careful when they talk about Chance the Rapper's name because there's a lot that goes in back of it. But thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go on to Braden. Thank you for using the super chat once again, brother. We really do appreciate it. And you said, hold on, what's an album that you feel is criminally underrated? Escape from New York by Beast Coast. That is facts, by the way. That is one of my favorite albums of 2019. Would be my choice. Absolute banger with no skips. I'm a big fan of songs like Bones on there. Even Distance is fire. Snow in the Stadium. There's so many great songs on there. But
Criminally underrated.
okay, you give your pick and I'll give mine after. Go for it.
Man, off the top of my head, I would say Miles by Blue and Exile is one from 2020 that I loved. Another one is As God Intended by Chez Noir
That's big.
from 2020 as well. That was awesome. RTJ4, Run the Jewels. That was a fucking masterpiece to
I
me.
think I'm going 3001 At Least Odyssey by Flatbush Zombies.
W.
2016 release. Probably Tana Talk 3 for me too.
Is
just
it underrated? I feel like it's a street classic.
and I think it is for the underground scene, but I
Yeah.
think when we're looking at it as a whole, like,
True.
we don't put it amongst the best albums of 2017. Like, at least, like, in the conversation that I've had with people, like, people often talk about Flower Boy, 444.
2018, by the way.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad. People will often, I'll talk about that era as a whole, like 2017,
Yeah.
2018. People will often talk about Swimming, Astroworld, the Never story, like, DiCaprio 2, Damn, 444. But Tana Talk 3 is within that mix. It's
Yeah,
still in that
for sure.
conversation for me. So, yes, I
Thank
do
you.
agree. But let's keep going, man. Let's see what else we have.
Yeah, so let's go on to Instagram. We had a lot of people send in questions from Instagram.
Shout
so
out Insta.
Shout out to everyone that's following us there. This one's from Fitz. This is a really interesting question. He or she said, what would it take for Kendrick to surpass Hove or Nas on all-time rappers list?
Oh man.
Another To Pimp a Butterfly or another GKMC. Simple
Yeah.
as that.
Not only that, but I think that like when you're looking at the greatest of all time, influence is a huge thing too. And Kendrick has already influenced quite a few artists, but I want to see what that influence is like 10 years down the line. I want to see how
the
he
discography
changes
ages.
the landscape of hip hop. Of course, how the discography ages and how he does additions to the discography. Will those projects hold weight? But if you think about it, that's not the biggest factor because already now, if you put side by side Kendrick's catalog with Hov's and Nas, you can make the argument that Kendrick has the better one.
It
Not
does- no,
only
they are
that,
the- he does have the better
not
one.
only that, but even if Kendrick has a few duds, so do Nas and Jay's catalogs.
And if you also
know
want
what
to
I
talk
mean?
about skill and capability, well, Kendrick is up there because, in my opinion, I think when we're talking about Kendrick's biggest influences, we talk about Andre 3000. I think that they're on par with each other when it comes to, the way that they're going to be able to use their voices in different situations. Even the way that Kendrick's able to use storytelling and different rhyme structures. Like, he is so unique to his own playground, and it's nothing like anyone's ever seen before. So there is these conversations, but I think what's really going to solidify it is if you get another GKMC or another To Pimp a Butterfly.
100%.
Because at that point,
Can't ignore it.
it's way too fucking. It's like Tom Brady, for fuck's sakes. Like, just another Super Bowl after another Super Bowl. At a certain point, you just got to give it up,
Yep,
right? So
I agree.
I think that's what it is for me.
All
But
right,
let's keep
what do we
going.
got?
What else do
Yeah,
we
so
have?
this is from Twitter. A lot of great questions from Twitter as well. So shout out to everyone connected with us there. I'm giving you guys both 15 seconds for this one.
Okay, let's
This
go.
is going to be a really quick one, and I want to see how you guys answer this in 15 seconds.
Let's do it.
This comes from WVR, and he or she says, if you could only listen to 3 artists' discographies and let the rest be erased from history, who would you save?
Okay, who wants to go first? Me or
You can
you?
go first.
I'll go Kendrick. I'll go Outkast, and then I'll probably go Jay-Z. Those are my 3.
Okay, give me
Oh, you.
Kendrick,
Oh.
Kendrick, Nas, Biggie.
Okay. Lewis stalling a bit. Who were you in contention? Oh fuck, I didn't
Drake.
put Dr. Dre in there.
Drake's in there for me too.
Yeah?
I bump a lot of fucking Drake.
I don't know, dude. Like when I compare his discography to others, like I agree with you, the replay value is there, but I have no hesitation.
Tribe Called Quest, The Roots. I love their music.
There's a lot of stuff.
Timeless.
Leave your takes for that question. That's a great fucking question. Leave that in the comment section. I
That's
want to see
super
what you
tough.
guys see.
Yeah, honestly, that list of mine is probably not even accurate.
And
It's
by
just
the way, guys, if you have
pressure
been
of the
enjoying,
moment.
if you guys have been enjoying this stream, smash the like button. We'll end it shortly. We'll see how many more questions we end up getting.
yeah, hopefully
through.
we get some more
Yeah.
from the actual platforms too, because I feel like we kind of missed out on some of those.
We'll end up going through the community tab and more shit as
Yeah,
the night
but
goes on.
shout out to Jack for using the super chat feature. Once again, we appreciate it, man. And Jack says, greatest diss song of all time. In my opinion, Ether or Master Ace. Acknowledge this. Love the podcast, boys. Keep it up. Thank you. And opinion on Nas Represent tracks. Okay, so what do you think is the greatest diss track of all time?
Ether's up there. I think for a moment in hip hop, like the whole thing of getting ethered is there.
What about Rap Devil, MGK?
No, it's not that. I'll probably end up going. The story of Adidon is fucking vicious. That shit's really fucking
No
vicious.
Vaseline, man,
Yeah,
is up there.
No Vaseline is up there.
That
for
shit
me
hit
as
different
well.
at the time for sure.
Who Shot You is low key a diss track if you don't know. Like that was actually towards Death Row. So Who Shot You could probably put in there for me. And that I'd probably say that's like probably my famous like ones. Even maybe The Warning Eminem. I think those are probably
That's a funny one.
that's a good one. So I
The
think
Warning.
I think
Crazy.
that's probably in there for me. But how about you? Like, what would you say is your favorite diss
Yeah,
track of
the
all
ones
time?
that I mentioned, No Vaseline, Ether, Story of Adidon, those are all up in there. What else do we have? Opinion on Nas Represent tracks.
The song Represent or like the tracks?
I think,
The one track, right? Called
I think Represent off of Illmatic, right?
Oh, fucking fantastic!
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I was trying to because you said tracks, so I thought there was multiple. I was like,
Yeah,
trying to-
that's
like
why.
like a secret mixtape or something that I didn't know about. But yeah, it's a-
I don't think there's part 2 to that track, right?
unless I'm fucking bugging. But
Yeah.
no, probably not. But as far as the song Represent goes, easily.
oh,
one
there
of-
is actually. There is a Represent off. No, there isn't. No, my bad.
No.
Yeah, no, it's just the OG Represent, which is one of my favorites off Illmatic. I think it's one of Nas's best hooks ever.
Absolutely.
That chant of like represent, like that's awesome.
Even the way the beat starts, like the way that he gets into his flow,
Yeah.
is super cool. I think that's actually probably my favorite flow on the whole album.
Really?
So, yeah, I think
Sheesh.
that. Yes.
Bro, I feel like I don't have enough time to go back and like listen to these classics. It's like just thinking about it, I'm like, fuck, I haven't bumped Illmatic in so long, man.
when did I do a dive of Illmatic? I think it was couple of weeks ago.
Yeah?
I done a little discography dive of
Of Nas.
of Nas's good discography. He actually has a lot of solid projects. A lot of people give him unnecessary slack.
For sure.
I think
for
that it's
sure.
unmerited at a certain point. But let's actually keep going, Nick. What else do we have, bud?
Yeah, so this is back to the YouTube community from Daniel. This one's pretty interesting. He says, I'm already preparing for the backlash on this one, but Russ's rapping ability is very underrated. Not saying he's one of the best to ever do it, not even close in brackets, but man still got bars. He keeps up with heavy hitters like Benny the Butcher, Absol, Busta Rhymes, etc. on his Chomp E EP.
Thank you for the question, Daniel. I think that's a really cool take, and not a lot of conversation in the industry amongst the fans about Russ. But I was a huge fan of that Chomp EP.
The Chomp
I
EP
thought
was,
he-
I know you were a
Yeah.
big fan of a couple of tracks on there, but I think when it comes down to being a lyricist,
He's not one of the greatest, but he's slept on. Like, he's underrated as a lyricist.
he is slept on, but is he up there really with Benny the Butcher?
No,
Like, no,
no.
I don't think so. Is he up there
Lyrically,
with?
no.
He's not up there with Absol. He's not up there with Busta Rhymes.
But
like,
to me,
he's
he
not up
proved
there.
that he can kick it with those guys. Like, on songs, he didn't, like, get washed by them.
no,
you know
he
what I mean?
definitely gave
So-
some of the best rap performances of his career there.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
Yeah, he can't keep up with them, like, overall. But anyways, great question. Great take.
Thank you, Daniel. We really appreciate it. What else do we have here?
Yeah, so we're going back to Instagram now from Sergio, who said, would you like more artists to do listening parties like Kanye did?
Yeah.
100%.
Fuck yeah. Who's the one guy that needs to do it this year to drop a new album?
To drop a new album, listening parties, I mean, I would say Travis Scott. I think that would stir up the most fucking buzz.
If Narcissist was actually something, that would have been fucking cool
Yeah.
to see all the mosh pits. You've
And-
seen Cardi live.
Yeah, and also, I mean, think about it this way. Like, not everybody could do it on the fucking massive scale that Kanye did it. Like, let's be realistic. No, not everybody has millions of dollars to spend every day to rent out a fucking football stadium. But, I mean, why can't other artists do these kinds of events at smaller venues where maybe there's no recording allowed and it's kind of just getting that raw reaction from the fans off a first listen before the album's out? Like, it's such a creative way to actually preview your music and to get a reaction out of people. So I think a lot of artists should be looking at these expert marketing tactics and utilizing them.
That is facts. One guy that I think maybe should use it is actually Kendrick. I'd love to see him come back. And,
No, I don't want
and
that.
You wouldn't want a
No.
listening party?
No. I just want the
Oh.
fucking album, man.
You wouldn't want a listening party?
I don't want to hear a peep. Unless it's like a Hard Part 5, I don't want to hear a peep.
But I don't know, bro. Like, that would be so fucking cool. Like, you wouldn't.
If it
be
was
that-
live stream, like, you'd want to hear, like...
I don't know, because you kind of have to sit down through, because it's such a. Yeah, but you can make that same argument for Kanye, though.
No.
You can't make that argument. I don't know, dude. Like, his albums are fucking well put together, and like you
Kendrick,
like that element of surprise.
Kendrick will never show you an unfinished product. That's the difference. He'll
Oh, that
never
is
show
true.
you an unfinished product.
That is very fucking true.
Perfectionist.
Thank you so much for sending in
Yeah,
that
we
question.
appreciate
We
that.
really do appreciate it if you're watching right now. But let's keep going. What else do we
Yeah,
have?
this is still from Instagram, the last
Mhm.
one from Instagram, actually. And following up with the Kendrick conversation, Studio Terror said, Freddie Gibbs versus Kendrick Lamar could be what hip-hop desperately needs right now.
We said
Oh.
Kendrick versus Freddie?
Who do you think?
Yeah,
Who do you think
Freddie
would
Gibbs
win that?
versus Kendrick.
Well, look,
Who
this
do you
all
think would win
this
that?
all stirred up to begin with when Freddie Gibbs released his Champagne Poetry remix, and what did he say? He said something like I'm in your top 5 or
Like fuck your top 5.
yeah,
run.
fuck your top 5. Yeah. So shout out to Freddie Gibbs. I love that he did that. I love that somebody responded because I think Kendrick was baiting the whole industry there. I think Kendrick was saying, I'm gonna throw a general shot. I'm gonna try to bring back a bit of that competitive spirit and see who actually bites onto the fucking bait. And Freddie Gibbs did it. And do I think it merits a response from Kendrick? Maybe not, because he didn't actually go at his neck. But I would love to see it. It'd be great for the genre.
Who do you think wins?
Kendrick smoking him.
Yeah, that's.
I hate to
facts.
say it. Freddie's
No.
one of the best lyricists out right now, but Kendrick smoking him.
Kendrick's. Kendrick's actually vicious, bro. It
Yeah.
actually gets really stupid.
You don't want to play with him.
No. It actually gets. Do you think that's why no one's ever really gone at him
100%,
directly?
100%.
Even
I
after the
mean,
control verse, bro, no one really said anything directly like that.
there were a couple of direct replies, but not by anyone big.
No, there was, but
Yeah.
even at that, man, like, do you really want to try and fuck with Kendrick?
No, you don't.
Like,
But
like
he's
that's-
never been in that kind of rap battle
Ah,
mode.
but
I
yeah,
want to see him there. It'd be scary.
But
that
who
would
wants
be
to take him
scary
there?
hours.
Like you know what
I
you're
know.
like
I know,
you're,
man.
you're going, bro. You're going into the ring with the Undertaker, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do in that situation?
Eminem v. Kendrick's a different story. That's a different story. That's a different story, my
Oh,
friend.
I don't know.
Eminem v
bro.
Kendrick.
Oh,
That's what I want to
don't
see go
know.
down.
Even at that, like, I wasn't a massive fan of Killshot. I re-listened to it, like.
Well, yeah, that's because you don't like his delivery, but he's fucking.
I know
he
it's
sent some
good, but
fire
like even at
shots,
that,
bro.
like it's.
Anyways, we'll probably do a video
I
on
always
that
prefer,
at some point.
I preferred when Eminem was fucking ripping apart Benzino. Like that was hilarious. Like that was
Yeah.
fucking top tier shit. Or even like, you know, what were they called? There was a group from Detroit, Clown Posse. What was it called?
Yeah, something Clown
A
Posse.
Clown Posse. I was recently reading an article on them. Very interesting story. But anyways, let's keep going. My bad for rambling on. What else do we have?
Yeah, so we actually have a super chat from Hayden. Shout out to Hayden.
Shout out
Thank
to
you
Hayden.
so much. Thoughts on New Underground? Check out the underground names. There's Eric Doa, Kamo, etc. Also, where is Care Package in the ranking? Club Paradise is a top 5 Drake song.
First of all, Hayden, thank you for the donation. We really appreciate it. I don't recognize any of these names that you sent, unfortunately, but I'm gonna take note of
Let
them
me take a picture.
and actually check them out because I'm interested to see where your tastes lie. But my thoughts on the underground as a whole, I think that for the last couple of years, the underground's been putting out better music than the mainstream. I think that if you
That's
look at the Griselda wave, if you look at other lyricists like Shay Noir, if you look at so many other artists, if you look at Blue, I mean, there's so many artists that have been
Even
doing
Freddie
their
Gibbs
thing.
to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's just
The underground's just been super consistent, and they've been releasing more frequently than the mainstream artists too. So you got to give them credit for that. To answer the next question, where's Care Package in the ranking? Like I said earlier, I don't like ranking Care Package in this just because it's a mix of songs from, you know, a course of years. So if I had to, it does have a lot of Drake's best songs. You have Draft Day, you have Jodeci Freestyle, you have The Motion, you have 4 p.m. in Calabasas. So it would be high up. It would be maybe right below, like So Far Gone for me, probably around that range, like at number 6 out of all his projects. But how do you feel?
I said the same thing. I would probably put it around that mid tier of Drake's discography. But then again, like it's an album that was crafted and formed around all kinds of songs that were released prior to the actual release date. So it's kind of not fair to judge it in that standard. But I would say that it's a great put together project when it comes to individual songs like The Motion, How About Now, Days in the East. Club Paradise is fantastic. I don't think it's a top 5 Drake song, but I do think it's a standout on the album in my opinion. Days in the East is fantastic. You know, there's Jodeci Freestyle, Free Spirit with Rick Ross. There's just so much great shit off that track list, and it just goes to show the type of projects that Jersey puts together, even with Lucy's. But let's move on to Braden now. Thank you so much for using the super chat again, Braden. And you said, what's your top longer songs where the artist raps for 6 minutes plus straight? Mine is probably your favorite rap song by FB. I know you love Tuscan Leather. I'm a massive fan of Tuscan Leather, but Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst is definitely probably my favorite, like, long song in quotations.
Sing About Me's great. Mortal Man's also phenomenal.
Mortal Man is up there.
It's so hard to think off the top though. Of
Fear
6
is
minute
up there.
plus.
Fear is up
Fear
there.
is up there too.
Is Fear 6 minutes plus? Or is it around 5
For Your Eyes Only, J. Cole.
For Your Eyes Only.
Beautiful song.
That's up there as well. What else do we have? Whoa,
It's hard to think off the top
there's a Joey
though.
Badass song at the top of my head. Hold on, wait a second. There's a great Joey Badass song off of All American Badass. That's amazing. No Siri, I don't. Fucking Siri, bro. Always comes in at the wrong
In the
moment.
meantime, I'll get to the next super chat by Debo. Thank you so much, Debo, for sending
American
$5.
Idol. American
Oh,
Idol.
that's a great song.
American Idol off of All American Badass. That is one of my favorite songs off that album. Absolutely love it. It actually clocks in at 611, so plays within
interesting.
your range.
But
let's
yeah,
actually
shout
keep
out
going.
Debo. Thank you so much for the actual donation. And Debo asks, do you think Travis Scott will ever be as big as Drake in his career? And we actually did a video on this, Debo. So look into the channel's catalog because it was a fun conversation that we had in depth. And do I think Travis will ever be as big as Drake? It's tough to say. I mean, I think that in terms of cultural impact, he is going in Drake's footsteps. He is collabing with these huge brands. He is now the face of hip-hop, you could say. As Drake gets older, he's kind of being poised to be in that position, to be that guy. And the album sales are talking. Already has a couple, he has one Diamond song. Already has a couple of #1 hits. So it's possible, but to reach the Drake status, probably not. Probably not.
If there's one guy that could do it, though, it is him. He is in that driver's seat. I mean, when you look at the way that Travis Scott conducts his marketing with, the Nike and PlayStation deals, the McDonald's deals, like this guy is doing breaking moves when it comes to his commercial success. So I think so. Plus, I mean, at this point, like when you're talking about the younger generation, who's really gravitating to Travis Scott more than that younger generation? So I think we're only going to see the fan base grow as the times go on. And plus, like, Travis low-key has a better catalog than Drake, and I'm not even afraid to say it. Like, he is up there, like, with discographies right now. Like, that's a great comparison I can make. I'm not even gonna
That's
be afraid.
steamy.
I'm gonna fucking say it.
That's steamy as fuck, man.
I don't give a
I
fuck.
think
I'm gonna
Travis
say
has
it.
the more consistent discography. Does he have the better albums overall? Nah, I don't know, man. That's so tough to say, bro. That's too fucking tough to say, man.
Okay.
Come on, man. Come on. I'm sorry, bro.
I don't know. I feel like I enjoy Travis Scott's
Shit.
discography better. I think that overall, I do think so.
That's gonna be a debate one day. For
Do you
sure.
think? We'll have to put this. Maybe we do something called discography battles, where
We could do discography battles. We could do verse battles. We could do song battles. I'm telling you, man. There's a lot of shit that.
in the comment section, guys,
can
would
tap
you like to
into.
see Lou and I kill each other on video when we compare artists? You guys never seen that side of us. It gets very vicious.
By the way,
Well,
guys, a lot of
we'll put
people
it-
are speaking about Sincerely Cantrell from Young Boy Never Broke Again. We will be doing an album review tonight, guys. It will be the first review of the night, so stay tuned for that. And to keep it 100, we're not one of the biggest Young Boy fans, but we do respect his impact on the genre, so it will be an interesting listen for sure. Shout out to T, who sent in $5. Thank you so much, T. We appreciate the support. And T says, are you guys confident about the future of hip-hop? It feels like most of the new guys sound the same and lack creativity, at least to me. Thank you, T. That's a very good take. I think that, T-Pain said it best. A lot of people are sounding the same right now. Not too much originality, but the future of hip-hop is strong because you still have a variety of subgenres that are exploding and taking off while we're still getting little tastes and little scoops of old waves of hip-hop like 90s boom bap making its way and having a resurgence through the Gazelda Boys.
Well, that's the only thing that I was gonna say is like I do agree that to a certain extent that hip hop is pop at this point. Like it's the most popular genre in the United States at the moment. So there is an argument to be made there, but for the most part, it depends where you look. Like I think that there's so many great artists to be bumping right now, and we'll probably end up doing actually a video on if the hip hop industry is in trouble because there is a certain conversation to be made when it comes to the quality of music that's being put out. There's obviously question marks. There's a lot of guys that do lack that creativity, but then again, there are a lot of underground artists that are putting out some of the best projects in recent times. So I think there's a double-sided coin to it. I think that you could look at one way or you could look at it at another, but for the most part, guys, it's always a pleasure doing content.
Shout out to Tokyo A Take for sending in $2. We really appreciate the donation. And Tokyo says, how would you rank Donda, The Off Season, and Call Me If You Get Lost? So before we answer that, we are doing an episode next week on what is currently a rap album of the year. And these are all going to be in the conversation. We're going to be speaking at length about all three of these albums.
Call Me If You Get Lost, Donda, and The Off Season. I'm going to be the first one to say it. I think that's my ranking right there.
Call Me If You Get Lost is number one for sure. Between The Off Season and Donda, it's tough to say. I'll go Donda.
I'll go Donda. But that's a very tough conversation to be having.
Let's go back to a couple more of the actual of the questions that we got from some of our Discord members. I'm going to pull one up that I had, actually. Hold up a second.
What do we have?
Let me pull one up here.
What do we have? There's people are talking about my take on my take on Travis Scott.
Okay, so this is a good one. This actually comes... I think they're actually getting mad about my take that Drake has a discography that's on the level of Travis, which, like I said, Travis has the more consistent discography, but I think that Drake has inarguable classics that have really affected the landscape of hip-hop. But anyways, shout out to Solar from the Discord. He's an OG, great member, always interacting in there. We love you, Solar. And Solar says, who's a rapper that's not so mainstream, so take out Polo G, Lil Baby, Roddy Ricch, etc., that you think will be one of the best of the 2020s? So what are you saying?
Who were the names that I couldn't mention? Roddy Ricch,
Polo G,
Roddy Ricch, and who else?
Lil Baby.
Cordae, there's Jid in there.
And anyone non so mainstream that you would put in there, maybe?
because I feel it at a point where you're looking at the underground, like it's so raw and that the catalog is so underdeveloped that you can't necessarily put it. But
Chris Patrick, maybe.
Freddie Gibbs, actually, I think Freddie Gibbs is going to be on an absolute tear this fucking.
Yeah, but
decade.
he'll never like blow up. Like he'll have his core fan base, and that'll keep growing. But I don't think he'll ever be like.
Okay, are we talking about
that
who's going to be the best
megastar.
of the decade, or like what's going on?
No, like who's gonna like pop off as a star?
Ooh. Corday, I think.
Yeah,
Corday,
okay.
I think
That's
Corday's
a
up
good
there for
take.
me. But his album went gold with his debut.
Yeah.
So I think I want to see him go for a platinum. But On Thin Ice said, "You ready for the next Vince album?" And by the way, shout out to On Thin Ice, good friends of ours, and always super reliable and first on all kinds of news.
Shout out on Thin Ice
yeah,
and
shout-
shout out Connor from
shout
there.
shout out to the boys at On Thin Ice. And you said, "You ready for the next Vince album?" I absolutely am. I really am. And Vince Staples was actually a great fucking project.
I
This
loved
shit-
Vince Staples.
I know.
It went under the radar, man.
I know it grew on
It
you
grew on me
later, eh?
heavy. First listen, you were a bigger fan than I was, but I mean, taking trips, a little fade. It's just the connection, the energy that Vince Staples tackles these beats with, which primarily come from Kenny Beats. They're just a great fucking duo, and I think that Vince Staples, reminiscing back on his days in the Ramona Park area and just getting super descriptive about what life was like there, lessons about street life, about not carrying a piece in your car. So much great content matter, effortless flows from Vince, and one of the best albums of the year for sure.
That's for sure. But let's actually go on to Debo and when do you guys want to end it off? Do you guys want to do after this, or do you guys want to keep going for a bit
We
more?
can keep going for another 10 minutes if you want to ask me.
absolutely.
How do you
No,
feel?
For sure, I could go for another 10 minutes. What are you guys saying? Load up the chat in the bottom.
Yeah.
We'll keep going with these.
Load up the
But
chat, guys.
we'll go with Debo523. Thank you so much for using the super chat. And you said, not gonna lie, Lou is wrong. Travis does have a better discography. Y'all got to do a battle of the Travis and Drake albums. So how do you feel about that?
Well, we could
How
do
you
that.
feel
We
about
could do that discography battle at some point. And I'll say it again, Debo. I do think that Travis has the more consistent discography. So if we're looking discography versus discography, you could say that Travis probably takes it. But if you're looking at individually who has the best album, I'm probably going Drake. I'm probably going Drake with Nothing Was the Same over anything that Travis has ever put out.
Up for debate, but let's.
It is up for debate,
It's
100%.
It's up for debate, and that's probably why we'll have to do a video on it one day. But I'm gonna let's shout out MLG. And you said Ant with the Montreal hat means certified classic. Yeah, I only take out the
Yeah.
Montreal Canadiens hat once in a while,
For
guys,
some
but,
special recordings.
for some really special fucking recordings.
You have a
but,
couple, but I think that's the best one, man.
yeah,
you
you
got to
think-
keep
you think
rocking
that-
the pink MTL hat.
I have to get a new one. I get a new one every season with my dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Fuck.
every first game we go see
Fuck,
like.
so what do you have, like 21 caps?
I have a fuckload of caps. If we go upstairs in my apartment, we have a fuckload of caps. But
Sheesh.
yeah, I've been collecting them since I was.
Is
a
that
kid,
one your
and
favorite, though? It's
I
your
got
nicest.
This, I got this one. This was for I believe it was Hockey Fights Cancer. I think yeah, and my dad had got it when he was working for the Canadians. Was he? When did I get this fucking cap? I think it was 2 years ago. But yeah, it's one of my favorite caps that I have, and I think the MTL caps are gonna have to come out because we're starting the season again. I promise you guys, no matter how big NFR gets, I will always fucking rock. The
Always
Montreal-
rock the
Yeah,
Habs cap.
there's no fucking way I'm taking this cap off. But let's go back to Frank Stratty. Thank you so much for using the super chat. And you said you guys have to do a madness bracket for Kanye songs. Fucking facts.
Those vids
It's
are always fun to watch.
watch.
Off the top, what are your top 3 Kanye songs in order? To
You
start
first.
off, the 3 Kanye songs I'm going to mention are probably not my top 3, but they're probably the 3 that right now are coming to mind. Speaking of the madness bracket, yes, we've wanted to do this for a long time, but the problem is a matter of time, because I see a lot of people doing these videos individually, like one person recording it, and it takes them like over an hour. So like for 2 people to go through a madness bracket, we have to time it so that it's efficient.
Maybe for a stream we could do it.
Yeah, we got to find out the right way to do it, but we are going to do it at one point. Top 3 Kanye songs: Can't Tell Me Nothing, Devil in a New Dress, and Hey Mama. I don't know. There's so many. There's so many.
Those are your 3.
No, those are probably not my top 3, but it's just what's coming to my
I'm
mind.
going Last Call. I'm going Devil in a New Dress, and then I'm doing I Wonder. I think
Fire.
those are 3 in my rotation that are probably one of my most replayed. But
Okay,
yeah,
a steaming
yeah,
hot take
steaming-
from Connor from
God.
On Thin Ice.
oh,
Shout out to you, Connor, for coming in with these fucking blazing hot takes. And Connor says Travis has become very mid. Utopia, 2 thumbs down. I gotta disagree with you, bro.
Nah,
I gotta
Connor, come on,
disagree with you, brother.
Uh,
Listen, Not a big fan of Escape Plan. I think that that's formulaic Travis. I think that if that's the main route that he goes with, there will be some questions that come up with Utopia. But Connor, go back and listen to Lost Forever once again, my friend. Go back and listen to that snippet because that should change my life, man.
That was one of the best fucking songs I've heard all year, let alone snippets. So I'm going to disagree with you. I think that I'm super hyped for Utopia, and I think that it will end up being one of the best albums of the year. And I think that Travis Scott deserves the hype. I think that Travis Scott deserves all the praise that he gets because at the end of the day, it's fucking Travis Scott. He doesn't put out bad music.
Yeah,
So.
but there is a lot of questions because it's like, after all the excitement with Astroworld, people are like, could he actually live up to this? But now that he's given us Astroworld, it's like, could he fucking do it again? Like, could he really do it? Is it even realistic for him to do it again? Probably not, but he could do it.
Was it realistic for Kanye to put out another good project after 808s with MBDTF?
Sure it was. Come on, it's fucking Kanye West.
I know, but think
it's
about
one
it.
of the best catalogs ever.
I know, but think about it. Like for the young generation.
True. Travis is their Kanye.
Travis is their Kanye.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We're gonna like we see it differently because we've come up and we've seen different people and we've seen discographies, age, and we've seen them form over time. But
that'd be a fun video to make too, like how Travis is the modern day Kanye.
There's some big fucking arguments to make, especially when it comes to commercial success, when it comes to even fashion, when it comes to the way he forms his projects, the big feature lists. There's a lot of different stuff that goes into it. But shout out to MLG again for using this super chat. And you says you guys should do a versus on live. That would be sick. Maybe Drake versus Ye.
We've been speaking about that, guys.
This is actually something that's coming. Is it coming soon?
Look, it's in the talks. It's something that we're very interested in doing, and we're kind of ironing out the details right now. We want to see how to do it best. We want to try to figure out a way for you guys to actually vote on it. It might be through Patreon. We're not at 100% sure yet because I don't believe that you can do any polls in the super chats, but in the actual live chat on YouTube. So it is in the works. We'll leave it at that. You could maybe expect it soon, but it's in the works for us.
Yeah, that's the whole thing is like, how would you guys be able to get involved, especially with YouTube? Like, we would have to find a good way to do it. Maybe through whatever. We'll have to see when the time comes. But On Thin Ice, I actually ended up putting the snippets you hearing ain't for Utopia. Hopefully I get new material. Fuck it then. Yeah.
Whatever
fine.
it is, it sounds good.
I'm with it. Whatever he's putting out, I'm fucking with it. So let's keep going, Nick. Do you have anything else?
I maybe have actually.
What does Lou have?
I might have some stuff. There was one from Yusuf from our Discord that I found really interesting. Let me see if I could pull it up real quick. Hold up. Had it. Okay, here we go. This is actually, and this is going to be our last question of the night. So shout out to Yusuf from the Discord, and shout out to everybody who's been with us in the chat, who's actually given us some super chat donations, and who's actually asked us questions from every platform. It means the world to us, and it's always a pleasure doing these live streams for you guys. But the last question of the night is, how will the sales of the big rappers such as Drake, Kanye West, J. Cole, and Kendrick be affected if the streaming era was not a thing? If streaming era was not a thing, is Drake putting up 600K? Is Damn putting up 600K?
Yeah, I think so. Why?
I don't know, man.
Take Care did it. Take Care put up over 600,000. There wasn't anything.
Yeah, so but it's a different era because listen.
But if that's the question, again, if you want to ask me,
another video that has to be done at one point, because I think it's a big conversation of how streaming era has changed the way we listen to hip hop. I'm gonna listen to a Polo G album. I'm gonna stream it because I'm intrigued, not because I'm a huge fan. But I'm never buying Hall of Fame. I'm never going out of my way to buy Hall of Fame. And I think a lot of people, especially with an artist like Drake, listen on that opening weekend, but won't listen to it weeks and weeks after. So I feel like the accessibility to streaming makes it so much easier for people to consume songs and to stream them, which correlates to sales. So yes, to answer your question, Yusuf, I think that all of these artists would be selling less if streaming wasn't a thing.
But it's also such a vital part of the whole streaming process now. So it's kind of like, it's kind of unfair at this point. You know what I'm trying to say? But because yes, they probably would. But like most people are accessing their music through streaming. So it's back then. It's like, okay, close every single fucking music store and close all the stores, and will we see sales be affected? Yeah, you'll see it because people don't have access to the music. So now it's like same thing with every single music store
Yeah,
that's
but
closed.
it's so
or,
different, man.
No, because the
Yeah,
way
it
people
is.
consume their products now is different. It's all digital. It's the same thing as people saying like, as time goes on, stores won't exist because Amazon exists and
I'll
e-commerce is
tell
more
you this: you'd be
prominent.
listening to a lot less albums if you weren't paying
I agree
for
with
a
you.
monthly subscription where you have everything accessible
I
to
agree
you.
with you, but the way people listen to music now has changed in comparison to back then. Plus,
But
the
it
market
would affect the sales of the albums,
share,
man.
But the share of the market is also much bigger than in comparison to what it was back then. Like back then the market wasn't nearly as big as it is now. So there's more people listening. There's more types of people listening to different genres.
And
So
there's more domination sales-wise, artist to artist.
Maybe for me, I won't go listen to a Polo G album. But how about the 18-year-old kid in
But
Chicago?
not everybody will. I'm telling you, a lot of people won't check out every release, and that would hurt the sales. But anyways, that's a big debate for another time, guys. Stay tuned for that. But let's get on to the super chats. On to Nice again. Thank you, Connor. You didn't have to. He says Tyler is the modern day Kanye, not Travis.
I disagree.
That's tough to say.
I disagree.
I think that he has a point in the sense that Tyler is reinventing himself with every album. I think that's where that take has its weight.
Maybe stylistically.
Yeah, stylistically
maybe
for sure.
Stylistically.
So,
but overall, though, as an impact and as an influence and as a force in the industry, I don't think
maybe
so.
not. And also the ability to really captivate the masses and to really have Avenger-like feature lists. You got to give it to Kanye.
You have to give it
sorry,
to-
to Travis.
But Travis does have a Kanye. Tyler does have a very similar pattern to Kanye, so I do like that. Actually, you're gonna get me, Connor. You got me thinking now, bud. But let's actually move on to Braden. And this was meant for me. MTL gonna have a rough season with all the injuries. Sorry, Ant Hockey podcast one day. I'll be your co-host. LOL. Dude, it's one of my fucking dreams, bro. I'd love to get on and just talk hockey and. In short, I think Montreal did fill gaps this offseason, and we'll have to see how a lot of our big key players actually end up playing up. But we are in a tougher division, and it is going to be tougher this season. But I do have faith in my team, as I do every single season. But let's move on to Mike Moreno, and I think this is actually the last chat of the night. And you said best third studio album, Graduation or Astroworld? Graduation for me, off the top. How about you? What are you saying? Graduation.
Graduation very easily.
Graduation easy.
But
I know that's your
I-
favorite Kanye album.
Yeah,
right?
it's my favorite Kanye album of all time, so that's kind of easy for me. But Astroworld is phenomenal. It is a masterful album, and I think it will be one of the best. Will be regarded as one of the best of the 2010s, probably in that top 30 range. So, thank you guys so much for the questions. Thank you for sticking by.
Heavy stream tonight, guys.
Yeah, guys, and we're doing these guys every Thursday. Sometimes we do, streams like this where it's more casual and we take in your questions. Other nights we have themes where we're talking about upcoming albums and a bunch of different topics. Also, if you guys want exclusive content and to have your say in our future episodes, you can access all of that on our Patreon plans. The link to those are in the actual description.
And some of you guys from the actual live stream actually subscribe
Yeah,
to us.
so thank you,
no,
guys.
Hold on, I have a couple of you guys here. If you guys are still in the stream, I want to say thank you. Thank you to Daniel Smith. Thank you to Bayless Fueler, and then thank you to Jigglypuff Jr. Thank you
so much, guys.
thank
We
you so-
appreciate that, and we
thank
hope
you,
you
guys.
enjoy all the extra content.
Absolutely, guys. So as Lou said, we're doing this every Thursday, and what you guys could expect from NFR in the next 24 hours. So you're hearing it here first. We will be reviewing NBA YoungBoy's new album tonight. We will be reviewing Side B of West Side Gun's Hitler Wears Hermes 8, and then we're actually going to be putting out another review on Saturday. And we didn't announce this yet, but we actually did review Little Sims' new album. Sometimes I may be introvert. It's a fucking fantastic album, and you're gonna really want to catch that review because it's one of our best of the year. But guys, thank you so much for coming in tonight. It's always a pleasure talking and kicking in with you guys.